currently the level of elected women in Guyana to Indigenous leadership position is still very low. I did a small general analysis earlier this year, last year, to present at the National Tushau's Conference. Tushau is the word for chief elected leader. And it was very, very low. And I presented it to everybody, mainly the wonderful male leaders there. So I know that there is going to be, they've already begun to make some internal thinking about how do you create a more equal man and women, or male and female leadership thing. Right here we have about 3 Tushaus who are right here with us on this panel here in Guyana. So there's a long way yet to go with the recognition, official or formal recognition, of Indigenous women as certainly elected and formal leaders in Guyana. It's still low. So there is that struggle as well that would continue. I know where the Indigenous women are leading, it's again very much in the organizations, the national organizations, such as the Amerindian Peoples Association and the Guyanese Organization of Indigenous Peoples, APA and GOEP, that are represented here. And they have been leading the struggle, and they're both headed by women. So that's also very good. And then at the community level, lots of the livelihood enterprises are also women-led and women-driven, and they're quite often extremely successful. So I don't know if I can give an example, is that in the North Rupununi, where I work, women had begun to make, package, and produce, package and market some of their traditional medicines using crabwood oil, the crabwood tree. That's it's like a magic tree that produces so much good things for people. And so they began to, they call themselves Medicine from Trees. And they began with some beautiful products there, some soaps made from crabwood oil and from coconut oil, and some salves that had a beeswax base from the bees, and they infused it with crabwood oil and with neem or cayambe, which is another local tree that grows in the savannas, and they are the most wonderful things for cuts and sores and itches and rashes separately. And then recently, and then their dream was to learn to make a liquid soap. So we recently partnered with the University of Guyana, the Institute of Applied and Science and Something Technology, IAST. And they learned to liquefy the crabwood oil soap. So there's a new product called Rupununi Essence. And it had a soft launch in June of last year. And by December of 2016, that product had cleared in profits $1 million Guyana dollars, which is like roughly 5,000 US, but that's just profit after all costs are cleared. So it was incredibly highly successful in terms of its sales. So we've actually brought some here for all of you to buy. They're busy marketing. The Makushi Research Unit is part of this. And they now have a company incorporated, which is solely owned, entirely owned by the Indigenous women that are related to this product. So it's taking sort of livelihoods to a kind of a new level, but with ownership fully vested in these women. And I think that's also positive, and it's encouraging for younger Amerindians to know that you don't have to leave the village to earn a decent living. You don't always have to go away in order to be modern enough, but to keep the beauty and the strength of your tradition. And I think that is a huge challenge that's going on. Right. So the more of these kinds of initiatives that can prove to be successful and modern, and you're getting money, because nowadays it's money to live in Indigenous villages. That alone is a challenge, because everything is 2 or 3 times the price, because you have to get it into the communities for them to buy some of these kind of basic things. So I just want to end by saying that traditional farming continues to me to be incredibly important. How do you encourage the young Indigenous girls and boys, men and women, to want to continue to farm. It is the only sustainable livelihood that probably exists anywhere in the world. And how do you keep encouraging that? So that is another thing that needs to be incentivized, if you can use that horrible word, but so that I guess the traditional way of life, the need to keep that, according to your theme, which is just not going down the path of the blinking capitalism and the greed without the need and the globalization and the free trade and all of these terribly coined words, which are the opposite of what they seem to be saying. And how do you find the right way of getting indigenous worldview, indigenous livelihoods, the indigenous philosophy, and get it, I don't even want to use the word mainstream because it's mainstream very dirty, but how do you get it to be more prominent, more understood, and then more attributable to what's going on as an alternative, a genuine alternative for life in Guyana and the world?